Surprise. Yeah, today I'm going to be reviewing Lego Movie 2. Now, the movie was directed by Mike Mitchell. It's not directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, because at the time they were too busy filming Solo, a Star Wars story, but a lot of people know they got fired. But they still wrote the script, though, and they did come up with the story. So, the movie is set 5 years after the events of the first Lego movie. Bricksburg is now Apocalypseburg because in the real world, Finn's sister Bianca won't stop destroying his stuff, so he just decided just to stop altogether. And Bianca is like, she's super duper upset because she wants Finn to try and play with her, but Finn doesn't want to anymore because he's like, I'm too busy focused on building Apocalypseburg. So she's like, you know what, screw it. And she ends up taking some of his Legos, and in the Lego universe, it's symbolized by General Mayhem taking away some of the Lucy, Batman, in case you're wondering who Lucy is, she's Wild Style, Benny, you know, the spaceship guy, Unikitty, and Metalbeard. They all take them to the star system through the stairgate. That's kind of one of the many problems, is that the puns in this movie are kind of stupid. It's like, oh no, we gotta worry about Armageddon. That was really weird. But Emmett believes that if Batman and Queen whatever Wannabe, that's the name of the queen of the star system, whatever Wannabe, which is whatever I want to be, but Emmett realizes, like, wait a minute. If she ends up marrying Batman, this could cause Armageddon, because I've been having visions of this. So he decides that he's going to go into space. He almost dies during an asteroid field, but he's saved by Rex Dangervest, a galaxy-defending archaeologist, cowboy, and raptor trainer. The whole point of Rex Dangervest is that he's supposed to be a parody of Chris Pratt action movie roles, like Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. By the way, leading up to Infinity War, I am going to do a rundown of all the movies set in the MCU, so expect that in the future. Owen Grady from the Jurassic World movies, he played a role in the Magnificent Seven. Yeah, he was in the remake of Magnificent Seven, and there were rumors for a little while that he was actually going to replace Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. That'd actually be interesting. Harrison Ford, no, not Harrison Ford. Chris Pratt is Indiana Jones. I wonder how that would have turned out. Now, whatever. And Emmett's pretty much like teams up with Rex in order to stop Armageddon from happening. So first off, I want to establish that this is a good sequel. It's a good film. It's almost just as funny as the original. The songs in it, I actually think that the songs in this movie are actually really good. Like, they're supposed to be like parodies of really bad pop songs, but they turn out to be really good pop songs, I mean. To quote Gravity Falls, top 40 songs are in the top 40 for a reason. But yeah, I think all the songs are great, and especially like one towards the middle, it's like, you know, the only lyric is like, this song's gonna get stuck inside your, this song's gonna get stuck inside your head. And they're definitely right. That's a real earworm. It's definitely more annoying than Everything Is Awesome. And that's an earworm too. Ah, jeez. But yeah, it's still really funny. It's still got a lot of the stuff that you enjoy about the Lego movie. But it does sort of suffer from like being the sequel, in which, you know, being a sequel, it kind of does feel like that it's not as fresh or fun as the original. If there were no other Lego movies, and if you were just judging the movie on its own, I would give it a higher score. But I'm sort of having the idea of, instead of pretty much doing like, I'm gonna do like non-spoiler stuff followed by like spoiler stuff, I'm gonna split off in like the two sections. Like, the first half of the video is just gonna be nothing but me talking about the spoiler-free stuff. Then I give my score, and then I go into the more spoiler stuff. And I'm not going to reveal most of the jokes about these movies, but most of the jokes in the movie, because they're really, 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 really good jokes. Which I will get to in the spoiler section, but yeah, it's amazing. every one of the characters, they're still the same as you remember them to be. And, of course, Emmett's always nice, you know. He's always, like, sort of the naive one out of all of them. And he's my favorite character out of all these because he's just so kind and naive. And he's really nice. I really like Emmett. But, yeah. So, overall, I think it's good. Just don't think it's as good as the original. I think I might have to give Lego Movie 2 second part an 8 out of 10. Still a good movie, just not as good as the first film. So now we're going to go into the most spoilerly stuff, which is mainly just a lot of the jokes. There's one scene in which, you know, the Justice League essentially, they, like, went off and, like, did this mission, and they're wondering, like, where's Batman? It's like, he's probably off going having his own solo adventure, where it's like, that's supposed to be a reference to the Lego Batman movie. Okay, that's actually really cool. And it's like, and then they make another joke afterwards, like, now that the Justice League is gone and Marvel isn't returning our calls, the heroes are gone now. Which is really funny. And it's like, okay, I see what you're doing there. I get it. And there's a scene in which, like, Wildstyle or Lucy is trying to escape from, like, being brainwashed and goes through the air vents. And she runs into Bruce Willis. Like, it's not even, like, John McClane from Die Hard. It just happens to be Bruce Willis. It's like, hey, I'm Bruce Willis. I'm here in this air vent. It's like, it's not like I live here or anything like that. It's just, I'm just there in an air vent. Yeah, later. That's actually really, really funny. And, of course, there's the big twist to the whole thing in which, like, the ending, it's like, in the beginning of the movie, Queen Whatever Wanabe, she has a song about how not evil she is, but it's made to sound super duper evil. And then the whole, like, and then later on, near the end of the movie, General Mayhem, it's like, look, the only reason why we did this is because we just wanted to hang out with you guys, but you didn't want to hang out with us. Because this is the only way that you guys knew that we were trying to get your attention. We're not evil or anything like that. It's like, wait, you guys aren't evil? Yeah, Queen Whatever Will Not be singing a song about how we're not evil. Wait, that was actually honest? But who's the bad guy? And it's actually revealed that Rex was the bad guy because spoilers, he's actually he's actually from the future, and he's a future version of Emmett. Remember the scene in the trailer in which Emmett's going through the asteroids, and before he ends up smashing into this guy wearing a jetpack smashes one of the meteors? That happened, you see, that didn't happen in Rex's timeline. He smashed into a meteor, he got stuck underneath the dryer, and he just got so angry of just being stuck underneath it for like years and years and years. And he wasn't able to do anything about it until eventually he started to move again, and he could be able to move in the real world, which is supposed to be like a callback to the first Lego movie in which he tried to keep on moving to be able to get Finn's attention. And he ends up going with Rex Danger Vest. And he ends up making a time machine from the DeLorean from Back to the Future, Bill and Ted's phone booth, the TARDIS, whatever Skynet is using, and a hot tub, which is supposed to be a reference to that Hot Tub Time Machine movie. And then he ends up making the Rex Celsior, which I see what they're doing. They're trying to pay tribute to Stan Lee by having the name of his ship be the Rex Celsior. Because if you take the R out of Rex Celsior, it's just Excelsior. And it's really nice. I like that. And he ends up going back in time first to get a bunch of raptors. And he ends up naming them after like a ton of like 80s and 90s action movies. Like he names one Ripley after like Ripley from the Alien franchise. He names one of them, I'm pretty sure he named one of them Connor after, John or Sarah Connor from the Terminator franchise. And then there's just the other one. Doesn't even have a name, it's just called the other one. But yeah, as it turns out, Rex ended up going back in time because he wanted to make sure that our Armageddon would happen. And the mom is hilarious. It's like, and of course they ended up having to make the joke about stepping on a Lego, and she compares it to childbirth. It's like, okay, that's actually really funny. It's like, and eventually it's like, when Emmett gets flung underneath the dryer by Rex, and now that everybody's in the storage bins, they just show like the end, and it's like, wait a minute, are they actually doing this? And then Watts, I was like, wait, no, there's no way that we could be able to end this at the depressing middle part. It's gotta have a happy ending. And eventually, it does. Finn and Bianca resolve their differences, And it's revealed that whatever will now be was actually like a heart that Emmett gave to like the Duplo invaders at the beginning of the movie. Also want to point out, Will Ferrell is in the movie as President Business, but he ends up leaving because to play golf, and which is pretty much very similar to what happens in real life. It's like the dad did not want to get involved with anything, and he comes back near the end in a voiceover role, and he just asks, "Honey, where are my pants?" It's so funny because it's supposed to be like that callback to that little TV show thing that President Business had. It's like, "Honey, where are my pants?" That's funny. So yeah, that just gives you an idea about the really good jokes here. It's like, and there's like a ton of really, really good messages sprinkled out throughout the movie. With the first Lego movie, it's just sort of that one message. But with the second film, there's like a ton of other messages in there. It's like, trying to get along with your siblings, don't become old and jaded, because he's going through that teenage phase in which he's like, he doesn't want to get involved with anything silly, which is why Rex ends up referencing the Matrix. It's like, only cool guys like us can be able to know what the Matrix is. And then when he starts fading from existence, he's like, well, I'm Back to the Future, and now it's like, what's Back to the Future? And it's like, it's a really cool movie that older kids get to see. I'm like, that's funny. And then there's but back to the whole, wait a minute. I just realized this. How on earth did Rex come up with time travel? And then he said the lines like, none of this is even real. This is just a metaphor for just some adolescent kid. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. This is just something more but just a giant metaphor in some kid's head. And then Emmett's like, I don't get that. And he's like, you don't need to. But yeah, there's just a lot of really small references that I could just go on and on about. It is a good sequel. And it's actually revealed about Lucy that her hair isn't actually black. It's actually, the black parts were actually like bright blue. She just so happens to color them with a black permanent marker. And it also turns out that she was actually the original artist who was behind Everything Was Awesome. Because, you know, after Finn and Bianca settle their differences, they end up, you know, making peace, and, you know, they end up merging Apocalypseburg and the Sistar system into, like, some mouthful that I'm not even going to name. And Emmett and Lucy go to their home, and Emmett finds an original copy of Everything Is Awesome, and then he finds that the band, Lucy was a part of the band, and he's just like, what? And then it's like, the end. And then it cuts to an amazing end credit sequence, like, in the song in the end credits, it's literally about like the end credits themselves, and like, and it's also about how like that, like, I want to like, don't leave during the end credits, stick around to see all these hard people that worked on the movie. And even after that, they end up showing like these pictures of like Lego creations between like like siblings, and that's actually, you know, really, 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 really cool too. So yeah, overall, Lego movie, great, good sequel. Not as good as the first film, but just because something's not as good as something doesn't mean it's bad. That's pretty much the Ghostbusters 2 argument that a lot of people have been trying to get for years. Just because it's not as good as the first one doesn't mean it's not good in its own right. So, yeah. That's my review of Lego Movie 2. So stick around soon for what I might review next. I have no idea. I'm thinking that maybe I'll be able to do a rundown of all the Oscar films that got nominated for Best Picture, like Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, Star is Born, Vice, Green Book, The Favorite, and Roma. So stick around for that in the future. So, yeah, until next time, stay gold.